Daniel had never doubted God's voice. At least that's what he told himself. He was the kind of Christian people admired. The kind who showed up early for church, stayed late after service, volunteered when no one else did, and prayed like heaven depended on it. If you asked anyone who knew him, they'd say Daniel is serious about God. And Daniel believed that too. But there's something he never told anyone. Deep down beneath the scriptures he quoted and the prayers he prayed, there was a quiet restlessness, a hunger that never seemed to go away. He wanted more. Yeah, not just spiritually, but in life. It began on a quiet Thursday night. Daniel sat on the edge of his bed, head bowed, hands clasped tightly together. His room was dim, lit only by a small lamp on his desk. The Bible lay open beside him, untouched for the past hour. "I'm tired of being stuck, God," he whispered. His voice trembled, not from weakness, but from frustration. "I've been faithful. I've done everything right. Why does it feel like my life isn't moving forward?" Silence. He waited. "I want something more. A breakthrough, a sign, an open door for me. Something big, something that changes everything." That night, Daniel prayed longer than he ever had, and when he finally lay down to sleep, there was a strange sense of peace in his chest. 2 weeks later, the answer came. Or at least, it looked like one. Daniel received a call from an old acquaintance, Marcus. They hadn't spoken in years, but Marcus remembered Daniel as someone driven and trustworthy. He now ran a fast-growing business and was looking for someone to partner with him. "It's big, Dan," Marcus said over the phone. "I mean, really big. We're talking money, influence, expansion. I've been praying about who to bring in, and your name just came to me." Daniel's heart pounded. He's been praying and my name came to him. Was this it? The breakthrough? That night, Daniel couldn't stop smiling. "This is it," he told himself. "God answered me. Everything about it seemed right. The timing, the scale, the excitement. It felt like a door had swung wide open and he had been waiting for this exact moment." But there was one thing he didn't do. He didn't pause. He didn't sit quietly and ask God, "Is this really from you?" Instead, he asked himself, "God, thank you for this." And sometimes that's where we get it wrong. At first, everything moved fast. Meetings, plans, contracts. Now, Marcus was charismatic. He was persuasive and confident. He spoke about success like it was inevitable. "This is going to change your life," he told Daniel one evening. And Daniel believed him. But then came the first nudge. It was subtle, almost easy to ignore. During one meeting, Marcus explained a strategy that felt off. "It's not illegal," Marcus said quickly. "Just bending things a little. Everyone does it." Daniel laughed nervously, but something inside him tightened. A quiet whisper, and it said, "This isn't right." Now he brushed it off. "It's just business," he told himself. "I'm overthinking." Now days turned into weeks, and with each step forward, that inner discomfort grew louder. But so did the rewards. Now money started flowing in faster than Daniel had ever seen before. Opportunities multiplied, and people began to notice him. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt ahead. Oh, this must be God. After all, how could something so successful be wrong? But conviction doesn't disappear just because success increases. No, it just gets easier to ignore. One evening, Daniel sat alone in his car. The city lights blurred past his windshield, but his mind was somewhere else entirely. He had just left a meeting that left a bitter taste in his mouth. More compromises, more bending, more things that didn't sit right. And this time, the whisper wasn't quiet. "You didn't ask me about this." Daniel froze. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. "What?" he muttered. The thought came again, clearer this time. "You prayed for something big, but you didn't ask if this was from me." A wave of unease washed over him. "No, this is from God," he said aloud, almost defensively. "It has to be." But deep down he knew he hadn't sought God. He had assumed. That night, Daniel had a dream. He stood in a wide open field, holding a shining object in his hands. It was beautiful, almost blinding. But as soon as he looked closer, cracks began to form. Slowly at first, then faster, until the entire thing shattered into pieces. Daniel woke up, his heart racing. His room was silent, but his spirit wasn't. "This isn't from me." The message was unmistakable. Now the next morning, Daniel sat at his desk, staring at his Bible. He hadn't opened it in days, not because he didn't want to, but because he was afraid of what he would find, or what God might say. He finally flipped it open. "God," he whispered, "did I get this wrong?" Silence. But not empty silence. The kind that waits. The kind that invites honesty. Now Daniel leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. Memories flooded his mind. The prayer, the opportunity, the compromises, the uneasiness, the dream. And suddenly, everything became painfully clear. He hadn't been following God. He had been following what he wanted, and he called it God. Walking away wasn't easy. In fact, it felt impossible. By now, Daniel was deeply involved. There were contracts, expectations, money tied up in everything. Walking away would cost him a lot. "God, I can't just leave," he said quietly. But the conviction didn't lift. You can't stay. That's the thing about God's voice. It doesn't always make things easier, but it always makes them clearer. Now for 3 days, Daniel wrestled. Sleep became difficult. Prayer became intense. Peace became distant. Until finally, he surrendered. Not the kind of surrender that sounds spiritual, but the kind that costs something. "I'll walk away," he said, "even if it means losing everything." Oh, Marcus didn't take it very well. Marcus didn't take it well at all. "You're making a big mistake," he snapped. "Do you know what you're walking away from?" Daniel nodded. "Yes." "What? Money? Influence? Success?" Daniel hesitated, then said quietly, "My peace." The weeks that followed were hard. Really hard. Daniel lost more than he expected, financially, relationally, even emotionally. There were moments he questioned everything. Did I overreact? Was it really God? Did I just ruin my future? But then something changed. Not outside, but inside. It didn't happen all at once, but slowly, gently, peace began to return. Not the loud, exciting kind, but the quiet, steady kind. The kind Daniel hadn't felt in months. And this time, it didn't come with confusion. It came with clarity. Months later, Daniel sat in church listening to a sermon about discernment. The pastor said something that hit him deeply. Not every open door is from God, and not everything you pray for is something God wants to give you. He learned that desire can sound like God's voice if you're not careful. Opportunities can be distractions if they're not aligned with God. And success is not always confirmation. And peace is often the clearest sign of God's presence. Looking back, Daniel realized something surprising. God had answered his prayer, just not the way he expected. He asked for something big, but God gave him something deeper. If Daniel could sit across from you today, he wouldn't talk about the money he lost or the opportunity he walked away from. He'll tell you this: be careful what you call God's answer, because sometimes what looks like a blessing isn't from him.